Juanita Drisdom, a native of Brooklyn, New York, was in Bridgeport visiting her son Shane when she was struck by an aortic tear, a life-threatening occurrence.
The nurses and everybody just took me under their wing and really took good care of me. I would write jokes with them and talk with them. They had to walk me every day after each meal so I could learn to walk again. I still remember them in my mind when I think of St. Vincent's, like Christina and Jenna and various other ones that just stuck with me.
When patients enter our hospital, we're not just admitting one person. Their families are an integral part of a patient's care and well-being, whose needs must become a priority.
The most amazing thing about it is that she doesn't really notice what she went through because they was giving health care in the midst of just socializing with her. They bent the rules and let me come into the hospital and see my mother after hours. The front office was helping me with the insurance. I have to give a lot of credit to the administrative staff.
Though it may have seemed like a small point at the time, the changing of a doctor's schedule to accommodate a patient's worried family members can and does make a lasting impression on those we serve.
Dr. Scriteri, when my mother first got her surgery, he's at the hospital in the morning making his rounds, and then I couldn't be there in the morning. So when I was coming, I was having the head nurse tell me the conclusions of the day and what was going on with my mother, and this is why she's still in a coma. And I was like, well, I can't be here at this time. Why can't he be here when I need him to be here? And he actually changed his schedule to actually be around so that I can have a conversation with him about a patient of his.
Susan Liacano was preparing for her wedding day when she got the news that her mother was seriously ill.
They had basically said she had terrible pneumonia and needed to be admitted. So unfortunately, my mother didn't make my wedding. It was one of the hardest days of my life, not have my mother sitting in the pew.
Determined to make sure her mother was able to share in her special day, Susan and her wedding party made a surprise visit to the hospital, and the staff at St. Vincent's was there to help.
And I remember seeing the little, it's like a little patient area. It has a bunch of chairs right when you get off the elevator, and somebody was there and they started screaming the bride was here. The nurses for my mom, they made some wedding bells inside the room, and I actually spent my cocktail hour with my mom. That really was one of the most special moments of my wedding. The nurses and the physicians and the techs and everything became like a second family for us.
Susan and her family shared irreplaceable personal moments with her mother during her final hours, thanks to unit nurse manager Lisa Califas, who, with no private room available at that time, created a private space within a regular patient room.
Lisa was the most amazing nurse I have ever met. She explained to my father and I every detail of what was going on with her. And eventually they had moved my mother to a really nice private room that had another bed where we could sleep overnight. Lisa helped us through those moments.
Lisa Framulero and her worried mom were in the ER with her father, who was suffering from a terrible infection, when housekeeper Annabelle Gabrielle took notice of them and stepped out of her daily routine to help.
A very sweet housekeeper, Annabelle, came into the area. She was doing her job cleaning, and she noticed that my dad was chilled. She went out of her way to find warm blankets and just make my dad feel more comfortable. The nice thing about it was that my dad was very tense, we were very tense, and that kind gesture brought our anxiety level down, made us all feel more comfortable. She actually asked my mom and I if there was anything she could do for us. Just really, really sweet, caring, showed that she was, paying attention to us and was concerned about how we were doing as well as how my dad was doing.
The friendly housekeeper personified a popular saying at St. Vincent's: everyone is a caregiver. Mary Ellen Hagedis saw this demonstrated on the many occasions over the years when her father was a patient. One time she and her family visited him, only to find he already had a guest.
And we go in and we sit down and the housekeeper just starts talking to us, and it just helped him pass the time till we got there. They were talking about things they did when they were kids. She was Italian, we're Italian. They just you know, again, like family. And then when she left, I went out to her in the hallway and I thanked her for taking the time to talk to my dad. And she said, well, it's not just my job to clean the beds. And that, again, was a story that he told over and over to different people about why he loved going to St. Vincent's. Even the housekeepers sit and talk to you.
Wheeled into the OR for serious abdominal surgery, Ken Vaso recalls how a small gesture from his nurse calmed him down.
But the whole idea of a major surgery like that was a little frightening. That morning of the surgery, I think my heart was going to jump out of my chest, and going under anesthesia, that she just sort of walked up to my shoulder and sort of just touched my arm, and it was one of the very small thing that really reassured me.
We received a call that Jeanine had been brought to the emergency room, had been in a car accident, and we needed to be here soon. And it was the longest half-hour ride of my life. And when we arrived, Sister Michelle was one of the first people that met us. And I have a vivid picture of Linda Seaman, as she's the ICU nurse who was in charge that night, and her caring and compassion and wonderful being that she is. And the care that Jeanine received here was unbelievable to me. She was in a heartwarming, wonderful place that really made a difference in her recovery.
Kim Taylor also felt gratitude to the St. Vincent staff for the care her elderly mother-in-law received during the last year of her life.
And she was on the cardiac floor, and the nurse was checking her in, and she went through a wonderful checklist of, you know, what is the best way we can, what are her needs and limitations as far as taking care of her. Christina came up with her breakfast, and you know, when you order cereal, it comes in these little plastic containers with those lids and the milk cartons, and Christina, and I'll get choked up, but she came in with a tray and she put it down. She said, "Good morning, Mrs. Taylor," and she opened up the cereal, she opened up the milk carton, she took the plastic off her coffee. She didn't ask her, "Oh, can I help you?" She just did it. And my mother-in-law, she just smiled and she said, "Oh, it's, you know," she just, because she would never ask for help. And those are the simple things that made it, made me feel at ease. They treated her in a way that was just really caring and treated her like a person, not just another bed in the hospital. It gives people something to look forward to. It gives them a sense of dignity when people talk to them by their first name.
Gavin Anderson's personal experience as a patient at St. Vincent's over the years, most recently following a complicated cardiac surgery, is proof positive that one person can really make a difference in someone else's life.
Kelly Cowick. That's a name I won't forget. She has a voice that's distinctive. I could tell sometimes when she was coming. And the voice is accompanying a smile.
Gavin appreciated the competency and alertness of the young woman who was just starting out in nursing.
I didn't need to push buttons if I was feeling bad, but Kelly would always appear afterwards as though she knew, just to check that everything was in place. And that's unusual and very extraordinary. It made me feel very safe.
For Gary Komar, who's worked at St. Vincent's for 33 years, it's the strength and faith that Chaplain Father Dan Kennelly and other pastoral care staff bring to the hospital each day that helped him and his family get through their adult daughter's ordeal.
Well, the morning of my birthday, actually, 4:30, my son woke us up, said that something was wrong with my daughter. So we went to her room, and she was having a seizure. And my wife is a nurse, so she knew what to do. My son called 911. We, got ready, called the ambulance, and they came, and we said to take her to St. Vincent's. When they did take a CAT scan, the ER doctor came by and told us that there was a major tumor in her brain. Well, as you can imagine, it was devastating.
While they were in the ER that day, Father Dan walked by and knew instinctively how to allay their fears.
Actually put us at ease.
And the presence of the pastoral care staff and the faith-based nature of St. Vincent's brought another dimension of comfort.
Spirituality is something that's very important as far as being a patient here. It makes you see a different way of dealing with either pain or suffering. This is almost like a family. And you get that closeness with the people you work with. Even new employees coming in, I think they feel that this is not just a place you walk into 9 to 5, and there is a sense of more than just being here for a job.